Finally, Main Street Sports Today has made its way back to the Glass House. Here it is Murphy Center on the campus of Middle Tennessee State University. This is your wild and wacky edition of Main Street Sports Today, and what a wild and wacky day it has already been. Coolers have been flying, and things have just gone haywire at times, but it is time for the best 2 hours in sports talk, and we are glad to have you guys along with us. I am alongside, of course, Wade Neely, Mo Patton, covering this Clarksville and Bradley Central game coming up here as we are at the Class 4A for now. Class 1A, I believe, is next in girls state championships. It is the Blue Cross Basketball Championships here, TWSAA State Finals, and looking forward to a great week. We'll be here all week. Wade, what's up, man?
Man, I am glad to be here. I got to come on this show as a guest last year after Giles County made their run to Murfreesboro, and I'm glad to be here this year in a more permanent role as we got 3 good days of basketball. We've already had some electric games. We've already seen some fantastic crowds. You mentioned there have been lids flying off the tops of coolers. I mean, it's only Wednesday, but it is wild and wacky.
It is wild and wacky. Yeah, I'm pretty sure all of Manchester and Lincoln County were both here today.
Yes, Lincoln County, they were playing right as I arrived. You guys got here a little earlier, and we just saw Coffee County as well.
I mean,
they brought a massive crowd. And it's funny you mentioned that because talking with 2 friends earlier this week, that went to the state tournament last year for Giles County, they said, man, the crowds are just not that great like they used to be. I said, well, spring break has got a lot to do with it. A lot of these schools are not on spring break this week, and sometimes it just depends on if you've made it before. In Lincoln County playing in their first ever state tournament, we saw the entire town of Fayetteville practically here.
And proximity, too.
Yes.
I mean, obviously, you know, Dobbins, Bennett, Kingsport, that's a long way to travel if you're going to be here. And Bradley Central, they expect to be here on Saturday, so they're kind of waiting. They're like, we don't need to get 3 days of hotel rooms. We'll just wait till the championship. So it'll be interesting to see how that plays out tonight as well. But I guess this afternoon. But man, it's going to be a great week. Again, we're going to be here the rest of the week with you. Mo and Wade will be here tomorrow and Friday. Going to be a lot of fun. Hope you guys will stick around with us. We've got a fantastic show lined up for you. We will be joined at the top of the 3 o'clock hour in person by the athletics director of Middle Tennessee State, Chris MASSARO. He's almost a co-host at this point. Every time we're here, we get a chance to talk to Chris just about, and it's always a lot of fun. Chris gives us a lot of insight, and he's got a lot of great things going on as you walk around the campus here at Middle Tennessee State. You can see a lot of athletic facilities being renovated, built, and things are looking great. So we'll talk to him about that. We'll also talk to both of our regular Wednesday guests. We've got Joe Sullivan, who's going to join us at 3:25, and, of course, Heather Williams joins us here in just a few minutes to talk a little NASCAR, and there's plenty of NASCAR to talk about. So all of that is coming your way in just a few moments. But before we do anything else, Wade, we have some results.
Oh, yeah.
We have a schedule. So we're going to give it to you on today's Rundown.
This is the Rundown.
All right. We've got girls basketball action. Class 4A state tournament earlier today. Bartlett down Sevier County 54-42. It was Cleveland 60, Lincoln County 44. Coffee County just moments ago defeating Dobbins Bennett 48-39. Men's basketball last night at the collegiate level. Middle Tennessee State right here in the Glass House with a 69-61 win over the Flames of Liberty. It was Austin P in the ASUN tournament, 101-98 in overtime over North Florida, and in a thriller, which we will talk about a little bit later in depth. North Alabama knocks off Lipscomb 77-75 in ASUN tournament play. In the GMAC, Trevecca falls, and their season likely done as Walsh defeats them 66-64. On the women's side, Trevecca's Lady Trojans, Trojan women, maybe.
Yep.
Not sure.
Could be.
But they advance with an 81-79 win over Northwood in the tournament play. And, again, something else we'll talk about a little bit later is The Preds streak ends in overtime. Still get a point, but don't get the dub. Canadians 4, Preds 3.
Still get the point, though, which is clutch. You're right. More on that still to come. Speaking of still to come, here's your schedule going forward for today. We mentioned Clarksville getting ready to take on Bradley Central. Tip-off coming your way in about 8 minutes here in Murfreesboro in that big 4A showdown. In Class 1A this evening, we kick things off at tip things off at 4 o'clock. North Green versus Greenfield will start us off.
I've never heard of Greenfield. Wonder where that is.
Greenfield? I'm familiar with Springfield, but Greenfield.
I've got Greenville, Greenville,
and Greenbrier.
Greenfield. I have no idea where Greenfield is.
I don't know. We're going to do a little geography
we'll
lesson. I'm sure we can find some folks that can school us on that here a little bit later. After that contest, Moore County versus Clay County. Tip-off set for roughly 5:30 p.m. Also set for 7:15 tonight, Cloudland versus Pickett County. And your nightcap here in the Glass House tonight is Wayne County taking on South Fulton. Shifting gears to tomorrow, games that will be played after we tip off our show at 2 o'clock. Westview will take on Loretto.
And that's not the only one. Let's give them the rest of that morning.
You want to go ahead and give you the full slate there?
We'll give you the rest of that morning schedule, which is right. Oh, let me bring it up. I apologize. Tomorrow. There you go.
All right, so running through this here, beginning at 9:30 in 2A basketball, McMinn Central will take on York Institute. Gibson County and Huntington will follow. I got to see Huntington last week. They are a great team. That'll be a fun matchup between those two West Tennessee squads. Gatlinburg-Pittman will take on Smith County at 12:45. And then, as I mentioned a moment ago, coming up at 2:15 tomorrow will be the Loretto Lady Mustangs versus Westview. A couple of other games on your schedule. These are diamond sports now, folks.
Weather permitting.
Please check your radar before you head out. And we got so much rain yesterday. It might be scratched today.
It may still be scratched, yeah.
So, again, buyer beware before you head out to these games. But as scheduled, Lawson is at Good Pasture. Clarksville at Riverdale. Pope John Paul II is at Grace Christian Franklin. John Overton is at Ship Christian. Siegel is at Mount Juliet. Smyrna is at Nolensville. John Overton is at Franklin Christian. Double dip there.
Well, they've got Friendship and Franklin. So if you're a John Overton fan, check your local listing. I don't know if they're playing at Friendship or Franklin, but that's a big difference.
Yeah, and make sure you check the time, make sure you check the opponent, and make sure you check the
location,
the field conditions for sure.
That too.
Heading into our softball schedule for tonight, PGA is at Ravenwood. That game is set to begin at 4:30. At 5 o'clock is Waverly at Brentwood. Riverdale travels the Green Hill at 5:30. Hume Fogg will visit John Overton at 5:30 as well. And at 6 o'clock tonight, Cane Ridge is at Laverne. And capping your high school action on the soccer pitch tonight, John Overton is scheduled to visit Martin Luther King. And kickoff, Chris Yao, is set for 6 p.m. But wait, there's still more.
Kickoff or first touch? I don't know. I'm going to defer to you. You're the soccer player.
I'll go with kickoff, but yeah, first touch acceptable as well.
Okay. I don't know, so I'm learning here. I'm learning.
You're doing well, though.
Ian, our friend from Australia, Ian, the president of the Main Street Sports Today fan club, we have just dubbed him. I bet he would know. He probably has an idea which they prefer down under anyway.
He would at least be able to point us in the right direction. You're right about that, my friend.
College basketball tonight, men's basketball. Tennessee is at South Carolina. That's an ESPN2 6 o'clock tip. In OVC tournament action, we will talk later with Joe Sullivan about this one. Tennessee State hosting Southern Indiana at 6:30 at Gentry Center on ESPN+. And Vanderbilt is at Rupp for an 8 p.m. tip on SEC Network against Kentucky. In Arch Madness, the Valley, Missouri Valley Conference Tournament play at 2:30. Valpo and Belmont will play tomorrow at 2:30. Women's basketball tonight, underway right now. Tennessee State and Morehead State and OVC tournament play. That's on ESPN+ if you want to check it out. And Middle Tennessee State is at Liberty tonight to close out Conference USA play on the road at 6 p.m. And in the association, it's the Grizzlies in Philadelphia. That's a 6:30 tip on Bally Sports against the 76ers. And that, folks, is your rundown. Top story, Wade, is brought to you by our friends at the Piggly Wiggly, or the Hoggly Woggly, or whatever you want to call it. Neely's Mill Shopping Center in Columbia. Make sure to go by and see the fine folks there. They've got delicious daily lunch specials. You can't miss them. I'm telling you, what a spread that you can get at the Piggly Wiggly. You can also get fresh hand-cut meats, great produce, and it's all just cost plus 10 at the register. Again, Neely's Mill Shopping Center in Columbia at the Piggly Wiggly, or your local Piggly Wiggly, wherever you happen.
We were out heading to Huntington, as we mentioned during the rundown. Me and Mary Austin were going to cover that game on Saturday, and we stayed overnight in Paris. We spotted about 3 Piggly Wigglies on the way, and she pointed them all out, and we don't have one, obviously, in Giles County. She said, "Where's the closest one?" I said, "I know exactly where the closest one is, and it's over at Neely's Mill."
I can tell you, if she didn't point them out by saying, "You're under the Piggly Wiggly, Miss Daisy," then
what are we doing?
What are we doing with our lives?
Yep.
I every time I see a Piggly Wiggly, "You're under the Piggly Wiggly, Miss Daisy." It's one of my favorite lines of any movie ever. Oh, man, we'll start with a little local story here, Wade, as a legend in Middle Tennessee, former Hillsboro, former Mount Juliet, and now former Green Hill girls basketball coach Troy Allen. 546, does that say?
549.
549 career victories for Troy Allen, and he will end just one shy of the 550 mark as he announced his retirement earlier today, as reported by Tommy Bryan of the Wilson Post.
You talk about 549 career victories. That's impressive enough, but he had a .672 winning percentage. It wasn't as if he was a 40-year veteran that had to really grind out those 549 victories. And
no compiler here.
No, he was very effective. And 8 district championships, 3 region championships, and 3 tournament appearances right here in Murfreesboro. And sometimes you just kind of know, and it sounds like that's one of those situations. Tommy reporting, I got a quote from Coach Allen. He said, sometime last year the practices just weren't as enjoyable, and I've always loved practice. So to me, that's almost a telltale sign that, it's maybe time to rethink things, and it seems like he thought it through. It seems like he's at peace with his decision, and obviously a fantastic career.
Yeah, he came on the show with us last year when they were here at the state tournament, and just talked about that team. And he really did have he got a great feel for that team, and they had another great year this year. Just couldn't quite get over the hump to the glass house, but a great career. Leaving Hillsboro after 16 years, I know was tough for him, but getting to Mount Juliet, and then once Green Hill opened, making the move over there, it was a great coach, great guy, and hope he enjoys retirement. Said he's going to spend some time at the lake house, and you know what? That is worth it.
Yeah, that's what you dream of, right? Fantastic career, great civil servant in that regard. Obviously, with so many years in the Nashville and greater Nashville area. And where did I see that? The Nashville City Civitan Club Coach of the Year in 2005. I can't think of a better way to kick back and enjoy your retirement, than a little lakefront action.
Yeah, no doubt. Speaking of retirement, and I don't know if we're going to get all of this in, but I do want to mention, as Ian said, Ian favors kickoff, but first game in AFL Australian Rules football coming up.
He really wanted us to mention the AFL there.
Listen, I'm a big AFL guy, and I enjoy it. Oh, wait, not Arena Ball.
Okay.
Sorry, I got confused.
Yeah.
No, this is Australian. My dad watches this stuff. He loves it because he's up at night, up and down. He keeps it on, and he's got teams. He's got a favorite team. I don't know what it is, but he watches it, roots. But I have a little less rooting interest, but I'm starting to get a little interest in
Ian's kind of our
thanks to Ian.
Insider a little bit. I'll tell you
we may have to get Ian on to tell us a little about this. Ian, we may have to have a conversation about getting you on to explain a little more about Australian football.
We'll have to get him on before the big championship game potentially. Hey, well, you mentioned that. my favorite thing, and my only real frame of reference with Australian rules football, which I can't believe, by the way, we're talking about Australian rules football while we're at the state basketball tournament, but I digress. It's Wild and Wacky Wednesday.
It is indeed.
My frame of reference is many Friday nights after working Giles County games, you get home late, and one of two things is either on around that time of the year. Hawaii is playing some random team with trash, flying across the field. I'm talking about it at the Hawaii Stadium. They got just debris going across the field. Or it would be Australian rules football. And so me and some of the buds, after we would get together and report on the game and hang out and kick back on a Friday night, we would watch a little AFL. So I got just enough knowledge to be dangerous, but I'm going to have to defer to Ian going forward.
I hear you. Well, speaking of folks who are going to take it to the lake house, Nick Saban, as we know, retired on January 8th. Earlier today, Chris Lowe of ESPN, friend of the show, came and dropped some bombs on the world of college football. Some quotes from this story are really interesting in that, let's put it this way. Nick Saban essentially said, it was getting a lot harder for me to do what I do in this era of college football, and it just felt like it was time to go. These quotes are a little surprising. Didn't think that Nick Saban would be so candid about NIL and transfer portal stuff. But in the end, essentially, and I'll just give you the quote. I thought we'd have a hell of a team next year. Then maybe 70 or 80% of the players you talk to, all they want to know is two things. What assurances do I have that I'm going to get to play because they're thinking about transferring, and how much are you going to pay me? So I'm saying to myself, maybe this doesn't work anymore. And there are some people who are taking this in a sense of he doesn't want the players to get paid or whatever. And I don't think that's what he meant. I think, and part of the quote, the extended quote, basically says, we were successful because guys bought in to be here for an extended period of time. They allowed us to develop them as players. And by the time they left, they had won a national championship, almost all of them. Well, people are saying, well, everybody's got a bag man now, so the playing field's equal. I don't think that's the case. I think it seriously is a matter of Nick Saban and his staff that he did not have year over year anymore, not having the ability to develop players as young freshmen into contributing members of the team by the time they're juniors and seniors, and having that really solid success at the end of that term. I don't know. What are your thoughts on what you are, read from this story?
Well, the interesting thing too is Saban says that the big question is now for these kids is how much am I going to play and how much money am I going to make? And then he says, I'm not saying that's a bad thing.
Yeah.
He said, I'm not saying it's wrong. He said, but it's just totally different.
It's not how I.
And so in that sense, you kind of could, I'm not a body language expert by any means, but you can kind of just read a little bit that he just seemed like he had this look like he was over it at times last year. And obviously the team had an up and down season until the very end when they caught fire. But stepping away right now, it's just interesting. The quotes, real interesting thing to me too is now he's going to be a voice for college football, joining the media and joining the broadcast section here as the band.
Bradley's band is loud.
They are getting it right beside us, so I hope you guys can hear us okay. But not kind of surprised that this maybe is what ultimately drove Saban away, because up until this year, how many times did we go into every season saying, you'd have people say, is Saban going to step away? Is Saban going to retire? And then to me, it looked like he might just be the guy that just coaches forever and forever, because he had such a well-oiled machine rolling in Alabama. And then now that the game has kind of changed and things have kind of been totally reprioritized, it seems like he just said, you know what, it is enough. It was enough. And you made a great point when you say it's one thing to bring in 5-star recruits every year, 4- and 5-star recruits, and it's another thing when you have a bag man that can get them there. But that Alabama coaching staff, despite the turnover in the last couple of seasons, year after year, did an amazing job of developing those kids who are supposed to be surefire prospects anyway. But how many times have we seen those 4- and 5-star kids that go to other institutions, other schools, and they flame out? They don't pan up to live up to expectations all the way. How many times over the years of Alabama, a kid comes in like a Najee Harris type situation, could have been a complete bust, and by the time he leaves, he's one of the great players. It just seems like they had that development pattern like I think we're touching on down pat, and Saban's kind of just over it now at this point.
Well, because there's not a pattern to be had.
Right.
And I think that is the key to me in this discussion is it's fine if you want to, if that's how you want to approach your college career.
Mm-hmm.
If that's the way you want to approach it, then approach it that way. Or you can come to Alabama and do it, and trust the process. The process has been working. And now kids are chasing dollars instead of rings, it feels like. And that's okay if that's what you want to do. But it just matters, what do you want to get out of your college experience? Do you want to get the college experience of becoming a better football player that can make a long-term career out of this post-college, or do you just want to make as much, do you want to make $200,000 in college and then sell insurance?
And the interesting thing for Alabama, to me at least, they were kind of the perfect hybrid, right? You're able to get the money, whether it was legally or illegally back in the day, and you knew that you were going to get developed enough to go play at the next level. Now the question truly has become, do I just chase a different bag every year, transferring here, transferring there? Alabama's kind of been this weird nebulous, they were that perfect hybrid, and now I'm not really sure where Alabama looks, what they look like going forward, because they were that perfect, now Georgia, kind of a new model. When you go, you're probably going to get a good chance to play for a championship and be taken care of off the field as well, or taken care of financially as well.
Yeah, I just think I think that is such a point that, again, you have to take into consideration. What do you want out of your career? That's it. That's the real question.
Yeah.
If you want the money, take the money. If you want to develop and potentially have a career long-term and be developed into a player who is coveted by professional teams, Alabama really gave you that opportunity. And a lot of these kids, just apparently 70 or 80% of them.
Yep, and
not worried about that.
And I love the Saban. Yeah, he like you've said a couple times now, he sets it up perfectly. Hey, do what you want to do, and I'm okay, and I'm fine with that. But I'm just over it, man. It's kind of like the way Spurrier went out, kind of just old, and I'm going to use the term crusty, but I don't really mean it quite like that. But just Saban is almost just like, well, you know what? It ain't the same way that it used to be, so guess what? I'm out. It kind of reminds me in some ways the kind of way that Spurrier went out. Spurrier's just like, you know what? It ain't the way I want to do it, and I'm out.
There you go. Let's take a break. Heather Williams is standing by. We'll talk a little NASCAR here on the other side of it. Bradley Central leading Clarksville 11-2 with 2:35 to go in the first quarter. We'll be right back here on Main Street Sports Today, presented by the Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia. Right back after this.
Whether you're an athlete or a weekend warrior, when it comes to your performance, don't settle for anything less than excellence. We're proud to announce that Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint Clinic is now Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia, where we are redefining sports medicine and orthopedics. Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance's team of expert sports medicine physicians understands the unique demands of your body. TOA Columbia specializes in personalized orthopedic care, offering state-of-the-art treatments for everything from sports injuries to joint replacements. Learn more at toacolumbia.com.
With Lee Company technology, the best handymen are hands-off. Lee Company Techs have been using visual findings and other smart technology tools for years to add transparency and virtually take customers along. You see what we see, whether we're in a crawl space or on a roof. With Lee Company, technology helps us help you, no matter what's happening in the world or at your house.
Jones & Lang Sporting Goods here in Columbia has been outfitting teams, officials, and anybody else from T-ball to college for 50-plus years. Be sure and check them out at 931-388-8060 or online at jonesandlang.com. Jones & Lang Sporting Goods, the look of a winner.
Zion Christian Academy, zioneagles.org or 931-388-5731. You can schedule your appointment. Go tour their campus. It is beautiful over there, and you're definitely going to want to see it. Again, it's zioneagles.org. Give them a call, 931-388-5731, and schedule your tour today. Custom Stone Handler supplies over 600 distributors and suppliers with quality stone products. Along with River Stone, we produce and distribute over 100 building, landscape, and other bulk products. Our goal is to provide quality products, service, and partnerships to ensure our customers' success. We firmly believe that the measure of any person or company is how they treat other people and customers. Give them a call at 931-490-4990 or visit CustomStonehandlers.com.
A game without a crowd is just a scrimmage. A performance without an audience is just a rehearsal. Without your presence, high school sports and the performing arts aren't possible. Ensure that these essential extracurricular activities continue to enrich the lives of students in Tennessee. Purchase a ticket to your local high school's game or performance.
This message presented by the TSSAA.
Piggly Wiggly, located in Neely's Mill Shopping Center, is Columbia's locally owned and operated Cost Plus 10 grocery store dedicated to serving the community with low prices and smiling faces. Piggly Wiggly offers fresh, hand-cut meats daily as well as daily hot plate lunches from their deli counter. You're certain to see smiling faces and a helping hand when you're here at Piggly Wiggly. Come by and check out our fresh produce, high-quality meats, and more. Down home, down the street, we'll see you at the Pig.
We thrive under the lights. The city of performers. Putting on one heck of a show. Headlining night after night. Welcome to Smashville.
Welcome back in to Main Street Sports Day, presented by TOA Columbia. Chris Yao, Wade Neely here with you from the Glass House Murphy Center on the campus of Middle Tennessee State University for the Blue Cross Basketball Championships the rest of the week. We will be live and in person. Again, Bradley Central Clarksville playing right now. You can follow at Mopatin_sports for updates on that. Right now, Bradley Central leads 15-6. As the first quarter is winding down. Let's see here. We'll give you a final. Yep, it's going to be 17-6 at the end of the first quarter. And we will bring in now our resident NASCAR expert. Heather Williams joins us. Heather, are you in the booth? Are you in the booth at a Mexican restaurant?
Close.
Oh, no, I really. You cut out, but it's probably because there's the Bradley Central Bear Band is blowing.
I'm going to
Wow. Well, we're excited to talk a little NASCAR with you and talk a little bit about Kyle Larson as he gets a big win out in Vegas, and it was almost just a foregone conclusion for most of the day. Kyle had a heck of a day.
Yeah, the dominant. We're trying to, keep this new fan base engaged, and it was really kind of it was definitely the least exciting race of the year, but they happen, especially when you have drivers as good as Kyle Larson. So, I mean, it looks like that team has picked up where it's left off. They're just consistent as always, and had a good day on Sunday.
What do you think makes that team so good right now? I mean, they've been dominant to start the season, and what is it about this year that has allowed the Hendricks cars to be so good?
Well, a few things. First of all, it's Hendrick Motorsports, right? I mean, they are still the gold standard in racing. Second of all, Kyle Larson is that guy. He's that good. And third of all, he's got a great crew chief, and not just a great crew chief, but he and Cliff Daniels are a great combination. They complement each other well. It's the same type of formula that they used for years and years and years with Jimmy Johnson and Chad Knaus. Hendrick Power, generational talent driver, crew chief that fits perfectly in that situation. And, when you look at the stats for Kyle Larson through his Hendrick career and Jimmy through his Hendrick career, they're pretty similar. Now, Kyle raced like 8 or 9 years somewhere else before he came to Hendrick, so it's not exactly a fair comparison, but the numbers are pretty impressive for Kyle Larson since he's joined Hendrick Motorsports, and it's just they hit the right combination of all three, and it's worked for them.
Now, Vegas was a big day again for Kyle Larson, but Ross Chastain getting a top 5 finish. I know we've been talking a lot about Trackhouse, as we have always done here on this show, but Ross Chastain had an interesting journey to that top 5 finish. Talk a little bit about that.
I mean, it's a little bit of the nature of the beast of that racing, right? Because you have different pit strategies and cautions come out and things happen. But I think the most important thing for that team is that they're just starting to show the consistency and the resiliency that made them successful 2 years ago and had them finishing second in the points. They seem to have found that mojo back, starting with the win to end last season. I think gave them all sorts of confidence and momentum at Trackhouse going into this season. And I the talent's there, obviously. The organization is and the car speed is there. But it's just finding the consistency, the confidence, and the luck. And all three of those things are working for them right now.
Heather, we've mentioned Kyle and we mentioned Ross. Who else in your mind had a good weekend last weekend, and who's maybe somebody that got a little shot of momentum that they can use heading into Phoenix now?
Well, I think if you look at Joey Logano and Denny Hamlin, they're starting to dig themselves out of their points deficit. They didn't have great days by any stretch of the imagination, but they weren't disastrous days like they had to start the year. So I think that's good for them. I think the Chevys in general had another good, strong weekend. Chevy has won every NASCAR race on all 3 major series, with the exception of the Xfinity race this past year to start the season, which is crazy how good the Chevys have been, and another strong weekend for them. So even in the Xfinity race, they had a chance to win, and it just didn't work out for them. So I think those are the big winners for the weekend. I think, on the flip side, I think RFK Racing is kind of in a world of hurt. I think they're 24th and 28th in the points right now, which is not good. They need to find something before we get too deep into the season.
Speaking of Phoenix, I mean, obviously it's time to kind of switch into that role. And Phoenix is, it's that track where this is the race where you kind of get ready and you kind of learn about what to do. And obviously things change between now and the end of the year, but it's still Phoenix. And so what do you expect this weekend from drivers?
Well, I expect the usual suspects to be successful, right? The guys that end up in the championship for generally successful at Phoenix, because that's where the championship is decided. So, those top tier drivers, the Denny Hamlins, the William Byrons, the Kyle Larsons, they are all good there because they put a lot of emphasis on that racetrack for the reason that you mentioned. It's where you crown your champion. So I look for all the usual suspects, the guys that normally run up front. I look for them to be strong, win this at the race this weekend. But I also, there's also a couple of other guys that aren't necessarily always championship contenders that are strong there. Like Chase Briscoe is very good there. And you mentioned RFK. Stuart Haas also needs a pretty good run. Noah Gregson had a good run last week at Vegas, which is his home track. But in general, they're still not having the best year. But that organization's pretty good at Phoenix. So I would look for them to be in the mix as well.
Almost always you can expect those folks to be right there. I mean, It just is what it is. Now, in the world of stock car racing, we talked about this on Monday. Exciting things happening in the truck series. Can't get out of here without talking about Raja Karuth.
Yeah, what a great win for Raja. I mean, I first interviewed him when he was like a 16 or 17-year-old kid, just trying to make him transition over from the online racing to actual cars and models. Great kid, great family, and it's just so good for the sport. I mean, there will be a day where we don't have to talk about the first, the second, the third African-American woman, Hispanic, whatever. But we're still there, right? Raja's just the third. There have only been 3 to win on the national series, and he's the third, Bubba, and of course Wendell Scott being the other 2. But with each win, it becomes more normal, and then we don't have to talk about it anymore. And just seeing his success and the continued diversity in NASCAR and drivers not just getting opportunities, but good opportunities and good cars that can win and they can really show their talent. That's what's so exciting. Raja is so excited for this opportunity, and he's making the most of it. He's been great in all 3 races, and then the win this week to cap it off is pretty exciting.
No doubt. Talking NASCAR here with Heather Williams. Follow her at Sports Heather, no underscore. Have to fix that lower third, but no underscore at Sports Heather or WCYB underscore Heather. One of those 2. Your choice. But looking forward to the podcast. Have you got any exciting things coming up on the podcast here soon?
Well, this week we talked to Daniel Hemrick, who is kind of a neat story because he was in the Cup Series. It didn't work out. He went back to the Xfinity Series, won a championship, had a good season last year at College Racing, is now back in the Cup Series with College Racing. So great insight from him. He's such a good dude to talk to, a fun guy to talk to. And so I think people will find the conversation with Daniel pretty interesting.
All right, well, make sure to go check it out. Heather, thanks for joining us as always here.
Thank you, Heather.
All right, that's Heather Williams again, resident NASCAR expert here on Main Street Sports Today, brought to you by TOA Columbia.
I feel like I learn a little bit more every week just by talking to her.
Yeah, and it's funny because up until about 3 or 4 years ago, I really had gotten away from NASCAR for 2 decades. And my family was really close with the Allisons and Red Farmer. And when Davey died, we all really just kind of washed our hands of NASCAR for a little while. And I watched a little bit, followed a little bit during Jimmy Johnson's career because I used to get a magazine in the mail from Lowe's about Lowe's racing.
Yeah.
And so that was just like, I guess he's my guy, but I don't really care. 4 or 5 years ago, I was like, man, I need to take a nap, and NASCAR seems like a really good way to do that, and I just really got excited about it.
The big nap guy. I would love to see the Venn diagram of nap fans and NASCAR fans because that's how my mom was. My mom always flips the race on Sundays.
It's NASCAR fans, golf fans, nap fans.
Yes, and it's a perfect triangle between those 3 because, you can catch a little bit of everything. I do like the fact that we've gone to the stages a little bit. You kind of have to pay attention just a little more, but it's fun. And I feel like I learn something every week when she comes on. She's a great guest every Wednesday with us.
Yeah, absolutely. And a little bit later, we'll have another of our recurring guests as, again, mid-major tournaments are getting underway. So Joe Sullivan he's probably posted up and excited about all the things going on in mid-major basketball. I'll talk to him a little bit later. We'll take a break. When we come back, we've got a grab bag of sorts, plenty of local sports to talk about, Preds, Nashville Soccer Club, and more. So stick around here on Main Street Sports Today. Again, presented by TOA Columbia. We'll be right back after this.
We thrive under the lights. A city of performers. Putting on one heck of a show. Headlining night after night. Welcome to Smashville.
Whether you're an athlete or a weekend warrior, when it comes to your performance, don't settle for anything less than excellence. We're proud to announce that Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint Clinic is now Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia, where we are redefining sports medicine and orthopedics. Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance's team of expert sports medicine physicians understands the unique demands of your body. TOA Columbia specializes in personalized orthopedic care, offering state-of-the-art treatments for everything from sports injuries to joint replacements. Learn more at toacolumbia.com.
Custom Stone Handler supplies over 600 distributors and suppliers with quality stone products. Along with River Stone, we produce and distribute over 100 building, landscape, and other bulk products. Our goal is to provide quality products, service, and partnerships to ensure our customers' success. We firmly believe that the measure of any person or company is how they treat other people and customers. Give them a call at 931-490-4990 or visit CustomStonehandlers.com.
A game without a crowd is just a scrimmage. A performance without an audience is just a rehearsal. Without your presence, high school sports and the performing arts aren't possible. Ensure that these essential extracurricular activities continue to enrich the lives of students in Tennessee. Purchase a ticket to your local high school's game or performance.
This message presented by the TSSAA.
With Lee Company technology, the best handymen are hands-off. Lee Company techs have been using visual findings and other smart technology tools for years to add transparency and virtually take customers along. You see what we see, whether we're in a crawl space or on a roof. With Lee Company, technology helps us help you, no matter what's happening in the world or at your house.
Piggly Wiggly, located in Neely's Mill Shopping Center, is Columbia's locally owned and operated Cost Plus 10 grocery store dedicated to serving the community with low prices and smiling faces. Piggly Wiggly offers fresh, hand-cut meats daily as well as daily hot plate lunches from their deli counter. You're certain to see smiling faces and a helping hand when you're here at Piggly Wiggly. Come by and check out our fresh produce, high-quality meats, and more. Down home, down the street, we'll see you at the Pig.
Welcome back into Main Street Sports today, presented by TOA Columbia. Chris Yao, Wade Neely here at the Glass House Murphy Center, Monty Hale, Jimmy Earl Arena at Murphy Center.
It's always good to be back in Murfreesboro, and it's always great to be back on campus, especially here for state tournament week.
Not great if you're Clarksville or a Clarksville fan right now.
Yeah.
As they trail 37-16. Against Bradley Central. Bradley, the presumptive champion here. If anybody takes down Bradley, it will be an upset of epic proportions here in the Class 4A state tournament. But again, plenty of great Class 1A stuff coming up here shortly as well. Just pulling up from 15 foot and draining it just consistently. And Amari Berry, the Clemson signee, is struggling to say the least. So
she takes one right here at the buzzer.
She will shoot 3 free throws, though.
Yeah.
Just before halftime. We'll have to put a little time on the clock, but it is what it is. Let's dig into the grab bag, eh?
Hit me with it.
Because last night, a report came out that Nashville SC was allowing fans of opposing teams or jerseys that are not Nashville SC jerseys to be allowed in the seated supporters section of Geodis Park tomorrow. And one of the reasons that was that particular section was, I guess, reserved was for NSC fans only, and a lot of Nashville SC fans are very upset today for good reason.
Yeah.
What allowed this to happen? The ticket prices are absurd. We know that. We talked about that with Valaire. We talked about it at length at this point. Is that just the simple fact that, the tickets are in such high demand that they're going to have to sell them to whoever they can sell them to?
Yeah, it's kind of tricky. And you had tagged me on the tweet last night, and I was talking a little bit about it with my friend Clay Trainham, who kind of had authored the tweet. He's huge in the soccer club, has supported them for years and years. And it's kind of a weird situation because the two sections in question are part of the supporter section, but they kind of have been reallocated. So they're kind of technically still the supporter section, but kind of not, in the sense that you're not standing up the whole time. But really, at the end of the day, what it really comes down to is, I think a lot of the fans, and there's talk, there was talk of a boycott. What Nashville Soccer Club has really unfortunately done is kind of turned this into a PR fiasco.
Oh, this is a nightmare.
Because of the money factor. And Messi coming to town, and we saw it with the Leagues Cup last year. The prices were just astronomical. And you could maybe justify that to an extent because it was Messi's first trip, or first big trip, I should say, and it was for a championship. But this, I don't know, it really seems like it's going to be a weird situation, and it has turned into a weird situation. And Valaire even pointed out, season ticket holders are now paying 4 and 5 times the price just for their original ticket. Face value, 4 or 5 times the price. But if Nashville were to somehow win to go on to the next round, he anticipated that the price probably gets rolled back. So that's the frustrating part, is that this is just a pure money grab, it looks like. And not only is it a money grab, you're kind of selling out your home field advantage to do so, which is obviously huge in soccer, even maybe more so than really a lot of other sports.
Oh, absolutely. Well, allow me to play a little bit of devil's advocate here. As one of the other things we wanted to talk about is the alleged impending extension of Hani Mokhtar. Does something like this, these money grabs, do they not allow you to sign your stars and make sure that they stay in gold? And I mean, obviously you're not going to make $6 million on one game, but it's certainly a pretty big chunk. I mean, things like this, every now and then, do allow that bottom line to look a little better, so that when your stars come up for extensions, now you've got the money to do it.
Yeah.
Or are they just doing this to cut some PR issues?
Yeah, and that's the real kind of head scratcher here, and it's kind of hard to say because this is such a one-off game. No other game on the schedule the rest of the way, except for maybe the CONCACAF semifinals, or the league's final, if they were to host that again, is really going to be of this magnitude, and really neither one of those are going to feature Messi again. So this is kind of a perfect storm. And I went to the Leagues Cup match back last August. Tons of Messi and tons of Miami jerseys, Messi Miami jerseys, but there were Argentina and Barcelona and other jerseys of Messi. But it really is just unfortunate, this deal with the supporter section now too, and pricing increasing. The Leagues Cup prices back in August did not really increase very much. Season ticket holders were basically able to still go for their normal price. That's what makes this so weird, is because it's 4 and 5 times the price now for the ticket that you were already paying for, and that's, like I said, for face value.
Well, and a lot of folks are saying this. You know, if the ticket pricing were market level, it'd be sold out.
Yeah,
but it's not. So, if it's not sold out, what do you do if you're Nashville SC?
Well, and that was the interesting thing too. The League's Cup, to the best of my recollection, ends up selling out very late, and then we saw a huge decline right towards kickoff, because you saw the screenshots, people selling tickets for like $5,000 and $7,000 the first when it was announced, but it shrunk. But back to your original point, I guess too, you do kind of got to dance with the devil a little bit, in a sense. Yeah, raising some extra funds to try and keep some of your guys. I don't know, man. It's just a very unfortunate situation. And what's really going to be unfortunate is you're not protecting your home field tomorrow. And this is the game. If Nashville does not get a win tomorrow, going on the road is going to be really, really tough next Wednesday. So as Valera told us, they need to at least get a 1-goal victory, if at all possible. Really, hopefully get a 2-goal victory somehow, to give you some cushion going into next week, because next week you're going to be at a major disadvantage playing on the road, and that's the final game of the 2-leg series.
What happens with a draw?
A draw is not necessarily the worst thing, but if it's a 0-0 draw, it's better because away goals comes into play. So in a perfect world, if it's going to be a draw, it would be 0-0, but if intermessi, as it were, if they get a 1-1 or even a 2-2, Nashville's really got its work cut out for it, because then even if they were to draw, the next week they have to match that number of away goals. So it kind of really puts the pressure on you. So that's the unfortunate part, is you have a chance tomorrow night, and I'm going to get to go to the game, so it'll be interesting to see how the crowd is. This is the game that you got to really just sell out for, because if you can win this game by 1 or 2 goals, as Valera told us, you're in a pretty good spot to advance the following week. But if you get a draw, or obviously if you lose, it's pretty much all but over. And that's unfortunate, because this is just kind of getting started, and we're in the round of 16. So early in the season, you'd like to see your team go on further.
Yeah, no doubt. It'll be interesting for sure. Friday, you can get a first-hand account from the game, as Wade, like you said, will be there.
I'll give you an update. Ticketmaster, you can get in the building for as cheap as $80. The good news, the good news is
that pre or
this is a standard ticket.
But is that including fees, or is that pre-fees?
Well, that's pre-fees, of course. Okay. They get you on the fees, no doubt about that. But the good news is, even though this seat is in the upper level, there's not a bad seat at Geodis Park. So as long as you get in the building, you're guaranteed to get a good seat, guaranteed to see a good game. So I'm excited for it. I don't know what to expect with the crowd. There will be a lot of Messi jerseys, a lot of Miami jerseys, but I hope Nashville can come out and play well. Kind of like the Bradley Band is doing.
Hani Mokhtar, again, as we mentioned, an extension likely nearing, and the faster they can get that done, Nashville SC, the better, because that will certainly help with the PR issues. So
I will say this too, for what it's worth. I had a chance to talk to Hani a few times. He's been a guest at Titans games the last couple of seasons, and talking to him, he loves Nashville. He's been involved with the interesting that we just had election day yesterday. He's been majorly involved with getting it registered to vote and getting folks out to vote in Nashville and local elections. So he's in on Nashville. The question is, how much is he in if a bigger offer does exist? I think Nashville's got a very good inside track on him, as long as they come in with a semi-competitive offer. So
looks like $5 million.
I mean, hey,
that's pretty standard.
If that's a competitive offer, I feel like anything competitive or better, he would stay. It would have to be a really big downfall by Nashville for them not to maybe want to stay. But that's a guy you kind of just have to lock up almost. It'd be like letting the Grizzlies just let John Morant walk out the door. I mean, you kind of got to throw all your chips in the middle on that guy.
I see a guy with a Greenfield sweatshirt on. During the next break, we're going to have to go find out where Greenfield is. Right now, though, Preds streak ends last night in overtime as the Canadians, one of the worst teams in the league, of course, ends the streak. And really unfortunate way to lose, too, because you had the game-winning goal erased for high sticking. Had knocked it down a little bit too high. And then, of course, the game goes into overtime, and Preds lose in OT 4-3. But still, get that point. Looks like the wild card is pretty well almost locked up for the Preds at this point. I mean, it'd have to be a collapse of epic proportions in order for them to not make it. A 70% chance to make the playoffs.
Yeah, moneypuck.com, which I didn't even know existed till they've started going on this run, but I've been using it daily almost. About 70% to make the playoffs. They're actually about 25% to win that first series, regardless of who their opponent is. And I didn't get to watch the game last night. My sister was texting me update. She's a huge Preds fan. Did you see the clip? That was the Preds game last night where the guy shot. It looked like he was clearing it from center ice, and the keeper, the goalie was out, and it just banked right in.
Yeah.
That's an all-time highlight reel shot right there. Obviously, you hate it goes against Nashville. Right. That is an epic clip.
So we told you we'd talk a little bit about it. Atlantic Sun Conference, or don't call them that, ASUN.
Yes, please.
They want to be the ASUN. And so ASUN Conference action last night. What an incredible –
speaking of clips that were going around the internet last night.
I wish that I could, if we could bring this up. I'm not entirely sure if I can or not, but would love to see if we could get this on real quick. Let me share my screen if that's okay. You can't tell people, you can't share your screen unless you tell people you're going to share your screen.
Yeah, that's only a nice thing to do.
Yeah, this isn't from ESPN last night. See if we can pull this up here. What a shot here to tie the game. 75-75 with 4.3 to go. Oh, wait, just kidding. Six-seeded North Alabama knocks off Lipscomb, and that in and of itself would be bad enough. Wade. Unfortunately, it was Marshall County legend KJ Johnson, a Lipscomb transfer who puts the last bucket in and takes out Lipscomb, his former team.
I saw him running down the court, and I saw the hairdo, and I said, and I went to a UNA game earlier this year, and KJ was injured, and obviously he's back, and I said, surely not.
It was.
That is tough.
KJ with the buzzer beater to advance for UNA. And here's what's crazy. Jacksonville, 10th seeded Jacksonville knocks off top seeded Eastern Kentucky in conference play. And so the ASUN is wide open, folks. It could be anybody at this point. And March is here.
Oh, man. And Austin P obviously got the win with Coach Gibson in his Army fatigue, standing on top of the table and fist pumping. I mean, that league is off the rails already right now.
No doubt. All right, we're going to take a break. When we come back, we'll be joined by MTSU Athletics Director Chris Massaro, who has sat down and is joining us now. So we will be right back after these messages here on Main Street Sports Center, presented by TOA Columbia. When we come back, Chris Massaro joins us. Stick around.
Welcome to Protein Snack Shop, your destination for healthy and delicious low-carb snacks. Our specialty lies in providing protein-packed desserts that are perfect for those following a keto diet. Our products are made with high-quality ingredients, ensuring that you can satisfy your cravings without compromising your health goals. From a variety of flavors and options to choose from, you can enjoy guilt-free snacking while staying on track with your fitness journey. Don't miss out on our limited time offer. Discover Protein Snack Shop today.
Whether you're an athlete or a weekend warrior, when it comes to your performance, don't settle for anything less than excellence. We're proud to announce that Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint Clinic is now Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia, where we are redefining sports medicine and orthopedics. Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance's team of expert sports medicine physicians understands the unique demands of your body. TOA Columbia specializes in personalized orthopedic care, offering state-of-the-art treatments for everything from sports injuries to joint replacements. Learn more at toacolumbia.com.
With Lee Company technology, the best handymen are hands-off. Lee Company techs have been using visual findings and other smart technology tools for years to add transparency and virtually take customers along. You see what we see, whether we're in a crawl space or on a roof. With Lee Company, technology helps us help you, no matter what's happening in the world or at your house.
Jones & Lang Sporting Goods here in Columbia has been outfitting teams, officials, and anybody else from T-ball to college for 50-plus years. Be sure and check them out at 931-388-8060 or online at jonesandlang.com. Jones & Lang Sporting Goods, the look of a winner.
Zion Christian Academy, zioneagles.org or 931-388-5731. You can schedule your appointment. Go tour their campus. It is beautiful over there, and you're definitely going to want to see it. Again, it's zioneagles.org. Give them a call, 931-388-5731, and schedule your tour today.
Piggly Wiggly, located in Neely's Mill Shopping Center, is Columbia's locally owned and operated Cost Plus 10 grocery store dedicated to serving the community with low prices and smiling faces. Piggly Wiggly offers fresh, hand-cut meats daily, as well as daily hot plate lunches from their deli counter. You're certain to see smiling faces and a helping hand when you're here at Piggly Wiggly. Come by and check out our fresh produce, high-quality meats, and more. Down home, down the street, we'll see you at the Pig.
We thrive under the lights. A city of performers, putting on one heck of a show. Headlining night after night. Welcome to Smashville.
Make sure you return that. Can you hear me?
Welcome back into Main Street Sports today, presented by TOA Columbia. Once again, here from Middle Tennessee State University inside Murphy Center, the glass house, where 8 teams from 4 Division I classifications will descend throughout the next 3 days, 4 days, and 3.5 days, I guess. At this point, we're almost halfway through day number 1, but we are excited to be here for this week. We'll be back next week, of course, for the boys' championships. But as you drive into Murfreesboro, drive into the parking lots here at Murphy Center, you can't help but see things missing, new things here.
Yeah.
And it is a crazy situation that MTSU is in right now. Again, obviously upgrading facilities and things of that nature. It puts you into a really weird situation sometimes, but they've done a great job making sure everybody's safe, getting in, getting out, and that's fantastic. And to talk more about that, we have Athletics Director Chris MASSARO joining us this afternoon. Chris, I saw you this morning in the tunnel with your hard hat. You guys been out there putting in the work.
Yeah, and that's a misnomer, thinking that I'm out there shoveling. But I did have a meeting to go to, and in the construction trailer, and just, I mean, I'm excited because next Sunday the crane is coming. So next week, the fans that are coming for the boys tournament are going to start seeing steel coming out of the ground. And so that's the next big step for us. So we're excited that the facility that you describe is a $66 million, 85,000 square foot building, a student athlete performance center that's going to help all of our sports, and it's attached to our stadium. And it's going to be great for us. And then once we're done with that, we'll be able to continue to make improvements into the Murphy Center as well.
Chris, you've been here so long, and you've seen obviously some tremendous growth, but it really seems like things are kind of getting taken to a brand new level for Blue Raider Athletics. Maybe just speak to that, kind of what you've seen and what's to come for MTSU.
Yeah, we've got about $100 million of facility improvements lined up. and we've financed probably about 93 million of it at this point in time. So we're well on our way. And as I mentioned, we really these are major projects to help our football and basketball programs, and a couple of programs that haven't had a lot of facility attention since I've been here. And it's going to be great because that's the marketplace now. Like in FBS football, you have to be competitive. You have to have these kind of facilities, and it'll be great. So when we move football out of the Murphy Center, that's where their locker rooms are. We'll be able to capture that space for men's basketball. We'll be able to make more improvements in the bowl of our Murphy Center, make it more fan-friendly. You've seen like the first step are our new video boards that are in right now, and those are the largest video boards in Conference USA. So we're very proud of that. Next year when you guys come back, there'll be a brand new sound system in here, and I just hope that you feel it in your chest. You know, one of those, like when you go to a Predators game, you feel it. You feel that thump, and that's what we need to have here. And we're eventually what we'd like to do is take some of these bleachers out, put in suites and club levels. We'd like to instead of have the center court kind of go in an oval, we'd like to bring it all the way to the sideline so it gives us a better home court advantage, be better viewing experience for anybody that comes in here. And also we'd like to change the Murphy Center, kind of retro it back to where it was an entertainment center. It used to be the crown jewel of the mid-state, you know, where every concert and all those kind of things. And I've got no illusions that we're going to compete with the Bridgestone Arena and some of the modern facilities, but we can have some shows, you know, and we can have viable entertainment right here in Murphy Center. So we need to do that as well. So that's kind of all on our design board right now. And so we've got, what we would like to do is flip this whole corner of campus and make it more entertainment oriented, more retail oriented. We're going to put a hotel on campus. Those are out to bid right now. We'd like to just have a retail corridor all around our campus. And then I think we can really kind of take off.
You've talked about a lot of potential upgrades, but you made a great point there when you mentioned that entertainment factor. My boss, I'm an MTSU alum in 2009. My boss, an MTSU alum, and he tries to tell me, I went to a few concerts, but he tries to put it into perspective that this place was a happening spot back in the day in terms of premier artists.
Well, we've got our timeline history on the back of our bleachers. And if you walk around and read those, it is a who's who. It's like a rock and roll Hall of Fame right here at the Murphy Center, because everybody played here, from Garth Brooks to Elvis Presley to I'm trying to think of another good rock and roll guy, but they've all been here. And so it's fantastic. And we had the Judds in here last year, and that was fantastic. And that was my first major concert experience in Murphy Center. And, man, it was great, because what an intimate viewing experience it was. And, again, like Bridgestone's big. I mean, it's massive. It's like 3 levels up.
It's not easy to watch a concert in certain places but in here, there's not a bad seat in the house.
I mean, it is a very intimate experience. And so I think I know there's a market for that, you know, and also why can't we have the Harlem Globetrotters and other shows like that come in? And I think that'll increase the viability of the building. It'll bring more people here. It'll help both our basketball programs. So that's kind of that's the long-term vision that all these pieces fit together. And as we kind of adjust to the new modern world of college athletics, that's going to be really critical for us, is to have that kind of a space that's hot, that's retail oriented, that's an entertainment that players and people will be attracted to be here.
It reminds me a lot of I don't know. Did you get to go to UAB a couple of years ago when, you know, the Uptown District over there with the Westin Hotel?
Right.
It's a really vibrant area, and it brings people to you because, look, football or basketball isn't everybody's cup of tea, but you can bring the whole family and everybody's got something. You know, if dad or mom or dad want to watch the ball game, and the other wants to go outside and have a dinner or whatever, you can do that. And it's just it brings everybody to your campus and breeds an affinity for the campus, right?
Yeah.
I mean, and for the school. And oh yeah, I remember going to middle when I was 7, 8, 9 years old, and it just, that's how you grow fan base.
And I didn't mention it, but we already do a great deal of this, and we're sitting here in a prime example. The next 2 weeks, we're going to host 56 high school basketball games.
Yep.
And we're proud to be here. I mean, this is awesome, and to be the longtime hosts. And then we do 14 high school commencements here. Everybody in Rutherford County graduates through here. So when we start talking about the Murphy Center from a MTSU perspective, well, let's look around and see how many potential students that might be coming to MTSU that are making their college choices right now. You look at these student bodies and all those sophomores and juniors, it's important on the impressions that we draw.
Yep.
When they come to their brothers and sisters' high school graduations, it's important that they come here and have a great experience. And that's kind of how they make their choices. It's a very visual. It's a very
this is an on-campus visit.
It is, and we need to upgrade that experience, quite honestly. And so somebody that's goal is to be here. All these teams that are out here playing this week, it's been their goal all season to come to the Murphy Center. Well, let's make it a destination place for all of them,
for everybody,
and then the university can get these residual impacts of the band that's here and of the student bodies that are here and the cheerleaders that are here, that they're looking for a place to maybe go to higher education. And why not Middle Tennessee? It's a great location. We're right in the middle of the state. It's been an easy drive for everybody to get here.
Easy access. And, Chris, one other thing that I've been impressed with, especially this week, and you and I were talking about it before we went on air, not just high school basketball this week. You guys had a men's game last night. Shout out to the Blue Raiders. Big win over Liberty. And then on Saturday, going to play a ladies contest bright and early. So in many ways, this is kind of the epicenter of basketball in the state of Tennessee this week.
It's really March Madness.
Yeah.
When you talk about March Madness, and that's fun. And our coaches believe in the TSSAA and the high schools, and the championships. And to say to the men's basketball coach, Nick McDevitt, hey, let's move that Liberty game to Tuesday. And then Liberty, we needed their cooperation. They did it right away. And then Saturday was kind of the tricky day because we have a home game scheduled against La Tech. And how do you fit in 4 championship games plus our game? And so Rick Insel, who's very familiar with the TSSAA, said, let's go first, and so let's get our game, so to speak, out of the way. And then we'll seed the stage to all these high school kids for their championship experience. And so we're excited. And Rick's he's buying biscuits for everybody for every season ticket holder.
Okay.
So we're gonna have fun at 9:30 in the morning.
Well, and I was gonna say, is there that this is an opportunity for all of these girls championship teams to get a chance to see Middle Tennessee, and they have no reason not to, because they're already here and their games are after. They don't have they're not itching to go home or anything. They can all come watch a really good basketball team, the Conference USA regular season champion.
Yeah, and we've lost 4 games all year. We're on the verge of being ranked. I think that should we stub our toe once, we still should get an at-large bid in the NCAA tournament. Had a great season, and so if we can role model for some of these kids, but also we want to make sure that they have their championship experience, because this is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. When you can play in a state championship game, we want to magnify that. We want to amplify that for them, and that's why we're excited. Let's just go first. We don't want to play last, where we're kind of trying to hurry them off the court or whatever. Let's get first. We'll get out of the way, and man, the stage is theirs.
Chris, we were talking about a lot of the things that are not completed, but you do have one thing that, since we have talked last, that is completed, has been opened, and is just right outside those glass doors, and that is the tennis complex, which is absolutely phenomenal.
You know, we've got probably the best tennis situation
anybody,
in the country, and we can compete with the SEC and other top 25 programs. Our men's program is a top 25 program, and so we need to back the facilities to have that. And we just opened up 8 new outdoor courts with a spectator platform that'll seat about 400 or 500 spectators, and it's one of the best tennis facilities. And again, it's that visual of this campus of being alive. Like let's rejuvenate.
Well, and
this
not having
area.
to drive to Adams or something to watch a tennis match.
Yeah, and it's great for our guys if they want to come do a workout. The men or women, they can go hit some balls at 10 in the morning. They got access right here on campus, and then to have matches here is going to be a really great experience. And we've got 8 indoor courts over at the Adams Tennis Center as well, so we are
top-notch facility in its own right.
Yeah, it's so we're excited about that, and that's just kind of an example of where we want to take our facilities, and that is the first step, and we're really proud to cut that ribbon. We cut it in February. We had to push it back a week, ironically, for snow. That was the week we got that foot of snow, but it was fun, and I can't wait. We have not had a match in there yet. The one time we were supposed to have it rained, so we went indoors. But we're excited to get in there and have some matches. They've been practicing, but no official match
Ready
yet.
to get it going. Absolutely. By the way, Scott Stewart, my boss that I was referencing, he just gave me the quick rundown. Garth Brooks, Pearl Jam, Journey, George Strait. But wait, his key favorite, he said, was Eddie Murphy graced the Murphy Center back in the day. So you're right,
the
Chris.
Eddie Murphy Center that night.
Yeah, it was the Eddie Murphy Center. Correct. Well played, Mr.
Cool.
Yeah. So fantastic stuff. We always enjoy being here. The vibes are off the charts here, and this is only day 1 of the tournament, Chris.
Yeah, we're excited, and the crowds have been great, and so we just we're so excited to host because, you know, and I'm getting a lot of gray in my hair and those kind of things, and it's just so much fun to see kids accomplish their dreams, you know, and that's kind of the bottom line when you're in it long enough, and to see these high school kids have an opportunity to play on a stage like this and the state tournament in front of all these people. I mean, it's a great thing to do. So we're excited to host it, and TSSAA has been great partners for us. So we've got a great relationship and want it to last forever.
Chris Massaro, Athletics Director here at MTSU. And Chris, I don't want to dampen the mood here. We had a guest last Friday.
Yes.
MTSU alum who was not the happiest about your football coach decision in getting rid of Rick Stockstill and bringing in Derek Mason. That being said, since Derek Mason has been here, he's been out in the community. He has been walking in parades. He's been getting out into these high schools. What has this first couple of months been like under the Derek Mason era? How do you feel like he is ingraining himself into the Murfreesboro and Middle Tennessee area?
Yeah, and let me just kind of address the first part first. That was a really painful day for all of us. And Rick Stockstill is a friend of mine, you know, and we've worked side by side for 18 years, and you're not going to find a better person or a man. So it was a really difficult situation, but really, I think for us to really move forward, it was something that had to happen, you know, and just we needed just a shot of a different pair of eyes and those kind of things. And Derek Mason's done exactly that. He's been out in the community. He loves the interaction with our fan base. He draws energy off of it. He's great at it. So the first couple months have been an A++ in terms of kind of bringing that kind of energy to our football program. And I'm excited. Next week they'll start spring ball. I've not seen Derek with a whistle around his neck at practice, but how organized he's been and his staff's been and what they've been able to accomplish in a couple of months, I know they'll have a great spring ball. And I also want to point out to anybody like that might have some reservations as well, that we also recognize that you don't fix a flat tire by changing the bus driver. So there are other elements of the football program that needed to be improved. One of which we're talking about is the facilities.
Yep.
That's kind of that's ongoing and obvious. But there's some other things that we really needed to address. And what I like really about what this staff is they're very cutting edge on nutrition and recovery. And I think that's an area where we could improve a lot upon that we had a lot of injuries, and sometimes injuries are bad luck. Sometimes they might be a result of maybe changing your strength and conditioning program, your nutrition program, all those kind of things. So we've made some major changes in there, invested quite a bit of money in that. And then we've also invested a lot of money into our personnel department, where we've got guys now that are more active on watching the portal. And we've got guys that are just dedicated to junior college recruiting and those kind of things. So they're evaluating prospects all the time. And in the old staff, they didn't have those kind of resources.
Right.
So we've also tried to back that up. If we're going to make such a change, then let's do a top-down evaluation of our football program and make sure we're doing the kind of things that we need to do to finance our goals. And that's the biggest thing. And we want our fans to also want to help finance our goals. So it's important for our fans to come and buy tickets or to donate to our program or do both. But if we have these lofty goals, if we want to be the best team in the group of 5, well, let's finance those goals. Let's fund them and let's make them happen. And that's what we're trying to do right now. And I feel very, very good about the direction of our football program.
We may not have enough time to really get in the weeds on this, but what can you tell us about it is the modern era of college football, but what can you tell us about NIL and where MTSU kind of sits and fits and all that? Maybe?
Yeah, that stuff changes daily.
Right, yeah.
Like you get the
old news tomorrow.
You get the Dartmouth decision, and all that unionization and all this. There's always our best attempts to kill college football have gone have not taken root yet. We've done everything we can, including making Stanford be in the Atlantic Coast Conference to try to kill college sports, but it's too good of a product that bureaucrats like me can't kill it, which thank goodness. My biggest thing is that I understand that you're trying to do what's right for the Big Ten. You're trying to do what's right for the Big 12. You're trying to do what's right for Conference USA or Middle Tennessee. That's great. That's your job. That's what you have to do. But also I think that all of us should be obligated to a higher calling. It is our duty and obligation to be guardians of the game. And I don't think we've done that now. We're just chasing money. We're chasing the greed. We're trying the trophy now is who has the biggest TV contract, not necessarily who holds the silver ball at the end. And I think we've got that wrong. So I think there will be a recalibration here, whether it's through Congress or the courts. We're kind of in the middle of that journey where it's all changing and those kind of things. But I don't worry about our enterprise because it's too good.
Yeah.
And we do too much for students and student athletes. I don't really worry about Middle's place in this universe because I think our place is great. I've never envisioned us to be Ohio State, but I think this is a great place that you can come, get your dreams can come true. You can be a Super Bowl champion by going to school here. You can be an NFL All-Pro like Travarius Ward. You can be the face of a franchise like Kevin Byard was at the Tennessee Titans. You can win championships. You can accomplish all those goals. And most importantly, you can graduate.
Yep.
And you can do all those things right here at Middle Tennessee. And we just have to embrace that, and that's our destiny, and that really hasn't changed. Now, some of the other stuff that's collaterally around it, like the NIL and the transfer portals, well, let's do a good job in those areas. So if somebody is leaving, and that's a really difficult decision.
Right.
And I've always said with staff and coaches, and I'm going to have the same attitude with players, like, if I've got an assistant that goes off and becomes an assistant at Clemson month, and that's a pay raise and all those kind of things, I'm going to be okay with that. But I don't want to lose them to a peer institution. I don't want to lose somebody to UAB. I don't want to lose somebody to Memphis. I don't want to lose somebody to Troy. And that's going to be the same way that we're going to treat our players. Like, we're going to treat them so well here, they're not going to want to go to Troy. If Clemson or Georgia come calling, well, then I hope that decision's difficult. And that's all we can ask, you know, and so if we lose a couple, well, let's gain a couple.
Yep.
Because we're doing a good job with them while they're here. And we're going to gain more than we're going to lose out of the portal. And that's the attitude we have to take and embrace that.
Chris Massaro, Athletics Director here at MTSU. Chris, as always, a pleasure. We appreciate
Thanks,
you hanging
guys.
out with us, and we look forward to talking to you again soon as we are here at MTSU. And always plenty of folks walking behind us. We'll talk to you again soon,
Hey, this
Chris.
is fun. Thanks,
you,
guys.
Chris.
Thanks
All
for
right.
being here. You guys add so much to the tournament.
Yes.
We will take a quick break, and when we come back, we'll talk to Joe Sullivan. It is Nashville Hoops mid-major tournaments.
March
starting
Madness,
soon.
baby.
So we will see you on the other side of the break here on Main Street Sports Today, presented by TOA Columbia.
Whether you're an athlete or a weekend warrior, when it comes to your performance, don't settle for anything less than excellence. We're proud to announce that Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint Clinic is now Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia, where we are redefining sports medicine and orthopedics. Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance's team of expert sports medicine physicians understands the unique demands of your body. TOA Columbia specializes in personalized orthopedic care, offering state-of-the-art treatments for everything from sports injuries to joint replacements. Learn more at toacolumbia.com.
Custom Stone Handler supplies over 600 distributors and suppliers with quality stone products. Along with River Stone, we produce and distribute over 100 building, landscape, and other bulk products. Our goal is to provide quality products, service, and partnerships to ensure our customers' success. We firmly believe that the measure of any person or company is how they treat other people and customers. Give them a call at 931-490-4990 or visit CustomStonehandlers.com.
With Lee Company technology, the best handymen are hands-off. Lee Company techs have been using visual findings and other smart technology tools for years to add transparency and virtually take customers along. You see what we see, whether we're in a crawl space or on a roof. With Lee Company, technology helps us help you, no matter what's happening in the world or at your house.
Piggly Wiggly, located in Neely's Mill Shopping Center, is Columbia's locally owned and operated Cost Plus 10 grocery store dedicated to serving the community with low prices and smiling faces. Piggly Wiggly offers fresh, hand-cut meats daily as well as daily hot plate lunches from their deli counter. You're certain to see smiling faces and a helping hand when you're here at Piggly Wiggly. Come by and check out our fresh produce, high-quality meats, and more. Down home, down the street, we'll see you at the Pig.
Welcome to Protein Snack Shop, your destination for healthy and delicious low-carb snacks. Our specialty lies in providing protein-packed desserts that are perfect for those following a keto diet. Our products are made with high-quality ingredients, ensuring that you can satisfy your cravings without compromising your health goals. From a variety of flavors and options to choose from, you can enjoy guilt-free snacking while staying on track with your fitness journey. Don't miss out on our limited time offer. Discover Protein Snack Shop today.
We thrive under the lights. A city of performers. Putting on one heck of a show. Headlining night after night. Welcome to Smashville.
Welcome back to Main Street Sports Day, presented by not that gummit. Presented by TOA. I was too worried about trying to listen here. We are.
I'm just glad I can listen again after the.
Jeez.
As impressive as they were, the bands for Clarksville and for Bradley Central going to haunt my dreams a little bit.
No doubt.
And I felt bad for Chris Massaro sitting right beside us because we've been doing it for an hour plus, and he sat down and was just like, "Whoa,
like
what's going on here?"
Yeah, how does this work?
That was a great segment with the MTSU AD.
Absolutely, it was. I'm always a good time when we get a chance to talk to him. We'll also talk with Nick McDevitt tomorrow. So that'll be a lot of fun, as well as we talk MTSU basketball. We'll talk a little MTSU basketball in this next segment. Wait, as we have NashvilleHoops.blog's Joe Sullivan joining us here on Main Street Sports today. Joe, welcome in. How are you?
I'm doing great. How about you guys?
We're great.
Would you like me to put some music? Would you like me to put some music on in the background to make it like it's meant for you?
You're there? Yeah.
Yeah, I'm going to have permanent hearing loss after the Bradley Central band. They had a lot to cheer about, Joe, and so they let the fans know about it. And unfortunately, it was right beside our microphones here.
Oh, man.
Kind of like some of the basketball games we saw last night. And before we go any further, we are contractually obligated, Joe, to point out that MTSU got a big win last night here inside the Murphy Center versus.
Did you were signed by Mo Patton to tell me that?
We were indeed. We were indeed.
Yeah, this is one situation we will reveal our sources. Yes.
Of course, he texted me with the final score. It's when it went final last night, just to remind me.
You know, you did say they wouldn't win 10 games, Joe.
I did.
You did say that. Now, I will say this, though. It has been a roller coaster season for the Blue Raiders, but they are on the upward swing as conference tournament play is around the corner. And as we've seen in already the A-Sun, anything can happen when conference tournaments start.
It is what a night at Lipscomb last night. Unfortunately, Lipscomb fell on the bad side of it with a really almost a ridiculous shot that went in from KJ Johnson of North Alabama. I don't know if you guys saw the highlights, but you did. Yeah. So, I mean,
formerly of Lipscomb, KJ Johnson.
Yeah, he played 3 years at Lipscomb and then transferred, and he's a fifth-year guy. And but he misses a one-on-one, which allows Lipscomb to tie the game on a three-pointer by Owen McCormick. So they missed a one-on-one. Then the bench or the players on the court didn't connect on the message that they were supposed to foul. And they let McCormick take the wide-open three, and he makes it to tie the game. So things really going wrong for North Alabama in a matter of seconds there. But then KJ Johnson just dribbles up the court, and he was literally falling down. And he said he just flinged it up there at the backboard, and it went in. It didn't hit the backboard. It went right in. A ridiculous shot. And here's the trivia about it is that it was a three-pointer that the referees went to review for time, but that didn't review that it was a 2 or 3. So the final score is actually wrong. It should be a 3-point. Good thing there's no wagering involved there.
Oh, goodness.
That would be an all-time bad beat, by the way, if the line were 2.5.
Yeah.
I didn't know that, and I didn't think about that, and I got the chills just thinking about that scenario there, Joe.
Oof.
Yes, but obviously North Alabama won outright, so that's not involved. I don't know how many people are wagering on that game. Zen Sports can give us some figures on that.
Sure, yeah, I'm sure they would have us hooked up.
I can tell you that there were definitely some deranged lunatics who had some money on that. That's all. There were somebody out there. I don't know who, but there's somebody. But yeah,
they knew North Alabama was going to cover. Lipscomb never. The circumstances were not right for Lipscomb. Lipscomb didn't seem right from the tip off, which is unfortunate. They didn't have their usual team play on offense, which creates the open shots that they make so many of. And their assists were way down. They just weren't sharing the ball normally. Too much one-on-one play and some missed shots. And North Alabama was determined to take away the three-point line from them, and they did a good job of that. Especially A.J. McGinnis, who's the best three-point shooter for Lipscomb. He only got off 3. He made 2 of them. So it's a really, as so often happens at this time of year, an abrupt, very sad ending for Lipscomb. That was because as the game's going on, it's obvious. Everyone knows Eastern Kentucky has lost the top seed, and that Lipscomb, and now if they were to be able to complete that comeback last night, they were going to get a home game in the second round in the semifinals. And then they could win that, and then they're 40 minutes from the NCAA tournament. So it is, there was an opportunity lost there for sure.
Opportunity gained for UNA, and I guess Jacksonville too. Jacksonville, it goes to Stetson, and who will UNA play?
Austin Peay.
That's right, Austin Peay. So that'll be at the F&M Bank Arena,
yes,
which will be a lot of fun up in Clarksville. They get an OT win last night. So, again, ASUN tournament is wide open for anybody to take at this point. So this is going to be
on our website, we predicted Stetson to win. I think Stetson's going to win.
Well, that's what I don't think we expected Stetson to play at Jacksonville today, or tomorrow, or whenever they play. So, I mean, that's one thing about the ASUN, though. How do you feel about on-campus tournament games?
So I understand why they do it, because if you actually want people to be at the games, these schools have difficulty drawing during the regular season. If you put these games at a neutral court, it is the place is going to be empty. We'll be honest here. These fans don't travel, and there was a good crowd last night at Lipscomb, a lively one. So you get a better atmosphere. It's as simple as that. And but it wasn't sold out by any stretch of the imagination. And however, when Casey Alexander had a press conference yesterday setting up the Missouri Valley Conference tournament, and he talked about how the atmosphere is so great in St. Louis, where you have all the teams there and all the fans there, bigger fan bases, obviously.
Yes.
But he said to have everything at one site is just like a great experience. So that's the decision you have to make. Do you really want those better crowds there, or do you want that sort of feeling of community you get when everyone gathers in one spot?
Well, and that's kind of like what we're here. We're here obviously at Murphy Center for the TWSAA basketball championships, and it's a lot of fun because at certain points you have 4 fan bases in the arena, and so and if it's a good game, you never know what might happen with fans start picking a team to root for or cheer for, and things get a little crazy in here. So, but you mentioned at the Missouri Valley Conference at the Enterprise Center in St. Louis. Starting tomorrow at 2:30, Belmont and Valpo on the MVC TV network. They will follow 8-9 game Murray State, Missouri State. And how do we feel about Belmont's chances? I mean, a win here and they get UNI. That's a game they certainly feel like they can win before they have to potentially see Indiana State in the semifinals.
Yeah, absolutely. Chris, just one thing. So I think ESPN Plus is where you're going to see that game.
Yeah.
Yeah, at NBC Sports. Yeah, NBC Sports is like in Chicago is where they'll be showing it.
Yeah.
So, but for people here, ESPN Plus, and I think Belmont can win it, but they have to play the extra game because they finished tied for 4th, but they lose the tiebreaker on the net rating, and Northern Ireland becomes the 4th seed. And this is I respect the net rating. I respect analytics. I believe in the saying that do the math or be prepared to fail. I understand all that, but it's not a perfect guide. And Belmont's a better team than Northern Iowa. It's as simple as that. And they lose the tiebreaker because it's kind of it's an arbitrary selection of what the tiebreaker would be, and it is So now they have to play the extra game, talking to Casey on Sunday, he came up with a quote, which I almost think is like worthy of a yogiism, that he would have fought very hard, done what he could to get the bye into the quarterfinals if he knew like it would have helped to like beat Evansville by 50, like he would have left his starters in. He didn't do it. He doesn't want to do it, but he said he would have considered it. And the reason why he said, I wrote it down here so I don't mess it up. It's you've got a lot better chance to lose if you're playing than if you're not. And it's yes, right.
Yeah,
it's wise words.
I'm fine. I'm fine with using net as a tiebreaker, but I don't know if the first tiebreaker is great when you have two teams tied and one of those teams won both regular season meetings.
So it would have been the head-to-head would have trumped it. The team split during the season. That's why. Yeah, head-to-head is still the first tiebreaker for
83-75 on Sunday, February 76th, and 76-72 on January 14th. They win. Belmont swept UNI.
No, they lost to them at home, and they beat them up there. They lost them at home when Gillespie wasn't playing.
That may be true, but Belmont's website is telling me they won 76-72. That's why I went and looked. I don't know.
Sorry.
Not,
Chris, I feel like I'm correcting you here on all these things. I don't mean to do that.
No, it's fine. I'm just you may be right. I'm just telling. The reason I'm saying that is because that's what Belmont's website says. So Belmont's website has got me messed up. If that's the case.
It sounds like a Billy Joel song. If you may be right.
Hey, I'll swoop in and save the day here. Joe, what's one? We've talked a little bit about Arch Madness, obviously. What's another mid-major conference tournament? There are so many that we always see the great highlights on Championship Sunday and that montage where there's been buzzer beaters. But what is one mid-major conference tournament that you particularly are looking forward to maybe most this year?
Yeah, so I do. Missouri Valley is definitely right up there because I do think it is wide open. And I think another one that's very interesting is the Atlantic 10. Do we consider them mid-major? These are the arguments about whether Atlantic 10 is mid-major or not.
Right.
If you consider them a mid-major, I think that's wide open. Dayton will be favored, and they're not even going to win the regular season title, and they'll still be favored in the tournament. They'll probably be seeded second. So right there tells you what you need to know. The Atlantic 10 has played a bunch of close games all year. The teams are very, very much bunched together, and that's one that should be very interesting. I think a league like the American is another one where it's going to be very much up in the air. We don't know. It's going to that's interesting. With South Florida, Florida Atlantic. Again, Florida Atlantic is probably recognized as the best team in that league. Not going to be seeded first. South Florida will be seeded first. So those are the ones that I think where you have maybe a team that's recognized as being the best but didn't win the regular season. Shapes up as very interesting.
Yeah, that sets the stage. You're right. When you have a team that, whether it's the odds makers or the AP poll or the net or whatever metric you use, it's interesting when you have those situations where the quote unquote favorites are the second or even potentially the third seed.
Right.
That kind of seems like it sets it up to be the whole tournament could get off the rails at that point.
And we should mention Ohio Valley now that I think about it, because that, they had a three-way tie for first place.
Yeah.
And that certainly is wide open with Little Rock, Morehead State, and UT Martin. I think that's going to be very interesting, along with, I'll call them our home team, Tennessee State, and see if the Tigers can wake up and put three games together and maybe surprise us. That would be fun.
Yeah, and we've talked about the OVC a little bit, and we've kind of been with it it feels like we have started these segments as the OVC was descending toward this three-way tie that we inevitably end up at. And I guess I'm curious, give us your breakdown. Number one, does TSU wake up in your mind? And number two, which one of those three teams, obviously seems like two of the three are playing better than potentially Morehead at the moment. Which one of those teams maybe makes a run there?
Yeah, I can't be optimistic about Tennessee State because they've been just so inconsistent. I think that they will need to do a number of things well for consecutive nights. That would be that have cropped up and hurt them during the year. Sometimes they shoot poorly. They need to, and they turn the ball over. They need to take care of the ball, play defense, and maybe play a series of low-scoring games. I think that's their best chance. Now, among the three-way tie, you're absolutely right. Little Rock has a 7-game winning streak, and UT Martin has a 5-game winning streak, and Moorhead, of course, blew a 3-game lead when they were in first place. So Moorhead's definitely, we could, I think reasonably say they may have peaked. And now they have to play an extra game because in the OVC, the first 2 finishers get a bye into the semifinals, which is a real big move. And that went to Little Rock and Martin. And so Moorhead State has to play an extra game, and that works against them. So I do think I like UT Martin. I think I watched them play against Tennessee State on last Saturday, and Tennessee State was ahead at double digits, and they came roaring back. They are an explosive offensive team, and I got to make sure I don't mess up his name. I've been known to mess up names. But Jordan Sears, their point guard, who looks like he should be playing tailback for the football team. He's a very muscular guy. And he's a great – and Jacob Cruz is like a 6'9" forward. They average nearly 40 points a game between them. So they are really they have to be stopped if you're going to beat Martin. And I kind of like Martin. I really do. I think they're going to win that.
And we could be streaking Moorhead State. We've got the bracket pulled up here. Moorhead State gets either SIU, Edwardsville, or Eastern Illinois in that first game that you mentioned. But then talk about a good semifinal. I mean, rubber meets the road there when you talk about UT Martin and potentially Moorhead, 2 teams that finished tied for first meeting in the semifinals.
Yeah, it's going to be a great game. I really do. And it's, it's going to be tough to call. That'll I'll tell you what, if they have a three-pointer that's ruled a 2-pointer at the end of that game, somebody's going to be angry about losing money. That'll be a tight spread is what I mean.
I see what you did there. Also kind of glancing around, who we saw, I don't know how vast the mid-major net is cast these days, but it seems like Gonzaga, I know it still feels weird to maybe call them a mid-major, but they have kind of woken themselves up completely, including that big win versus St. Mary's. They're kind of streaking right now.
So, they're not a mid-major, but certainly they play in a mid-major league. Can we phrase it that way? I mean, that's accurate, I think. So St. Mary's is the best team in that league all during the conference season. St. Mary's had a difficult non-conference season for them. They were ranked in the top 25 and they kind of fell out. They had a home loss to Missouri State, which just is, up the track in the Missouri Valley. But then they suddenly figured out they were having offensive problems. They're always a good defensive team. They solved their offensive problems and they were great. Their point guard, Marshallonis, is he's the son of the Hall of Fame basketball player that played for the Soviet Union and the Warriors. Is the player of the year in that league. He is really something to watch as a point guard. He's left-handed like his dad. And I love St. Mary's, and I really thought they were definitively better than Gonzaga. And then they played Saturday night, and Gonzaga really beat them. Mo Patton can start texting me about Gonzaga now too, I guess. But it is
he didn't graduate from Gonzaga. He doesn't care.
I think it was anyway. Here's my feeling on that game Saturday night they just played. I think it's very fluky. I think Gonzaga shot very well. Some people played way over their heads, and I think St. Mary's will come back and beat them in the WCC final. And both teams should be in the tournament. I think they are. We don't have to worry about that. Any kind of injustice there. So I think they both could do well in the tournament too.
And that was, I guess, where I was eventually going to get with that. Is you think that Gonzaga is now probably pretty safely in the tournament, barring epic collapse here?
Yeah. So I think what they needed the so-called quad one wins and a shrewd scheduling. They played at Kentucky in February. A strange, they used games like this used to be played all the time, but in present day, it's all conference games at this time. And they won at Kentucky, and now they won at St. Mary's. They had enough of a resume before that to add those 2 wins in. That pushes you into the field quite easily.
I thought so too. Jerry Palm is a little less optimistic, but I think he's coming around too. We'll find out tomorrow.
What does he have then? I mean, Jerry does a great job.
Yeah, Jerry, I think he had them next 4 out last Thursday. Now, again, that was before the St. Mary's win, so I'm sure that probably pushed them in, and I think he's probably got them squarely in now. But it certainly helps that no other mid-majors are really taking that extra step, and a lot of teams in the power conferences, I say Power 6, I guess, are also kind of falling by the wayside. I mean, everybody's losing, and so everybody on the boat, like the Memphis,
Wake Forest, I guess, is the biggest example. They lost at Georgia Tech last night, and
Georgia
kind of
Tech
fallen apart.
4-1 in Quad 1A games. 4-1.
Wow,
it's amazing.
That's absurd.
What'd you call them on Twitter? The best bad team?
They're the best bad team in the history of college basketball.
Well, Damon Stoudemire, first-year coach, I think, right? Second at the most.
Second year at the most, yeah.
Is maybe he's going to be building something there. We'll see.
Well, I'm sure that the folks in Atlanta would love to see it, and so would we. But Joe, when we talk to you next week, we'll have some champions.
We will,
and it's going to be fun.
And just before we go, one thing about Middle Tennessee, I did some research, hoping to have some enlighten the listeners. The tiebreakers for the Conference USA tournament are just they're just bonkers. So we can't even say what's going to happen. There's only one game left for most teams. A couple of teams have 2 games left. 4 teams have 2 games left. Thomas Donnelly, the great basketball SID at Middle Tennessee, told me it could be anywhere from 3 to 8 as a seed, Middle Tennessee. And I was trying to look at the tiebreakers. You can't figure out anything yet.
Well, there's 4 teams that have 6-9 records, and FIU is 5-9.
Yeah.
All I'm going to say on that, Joe, is I talked to Chip Walters, their play-by-play voice, about 20 minutes before showtime, and he had a text from the conference office, and it required multiple swipes on the and he had his font was not very large, so I mean it was a readable. So the fact that it had multiple swipes, that tells you how crazy that tiebreaker situation could get.
Yeah. So, but next Wednesday we'll know because it'll be done.
Yeah, and that's what I told him. I said, hey, I'm not even going to worry about this. I'm just going to wait till next Wednesday or next Tuesday when we have him, and then next Wednesday when we have you, and we'll just break it down then at that point.
Yeah.
Joe, are you going to go down to Huntsville?
I will not be going down to Huntsville. My only trip left is I have a fairly recent tradition of going to the first 4 in Dayton. That'll be my next trip, and always look forward to that.
Well, it's going to be a good one. It's going to be a lot of fun. NCAA tournament this year it promises to be exciting, if nothing else. So, Joe, as always, we appreciate it, man. We'll look forward to talking to you next week.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you, Joe.
We'll take a quick 1 minute, 90-second-ish break here and come back with the weirdest and wildest news from across the world on Wild and Wacky Wednesday. Stick around.
I'm Maurice Patton, and on Main Street Sports Today, we bring you the voices of your favorite teams from preps to pros.
Otherwise known as the VOT, Mike Keith.
The bottom line is we can teach Will Levis woke.
I just don't know who's going to work with you on your base stealing now that EY's gone.
Well, that has nowhere to go but up. And I was just like, oh, guys, not again. Can we just bury that, burn that footage, and not bring it back?
No.
No. Thank you. We'll keep it going past the All-Star break, and looking forward to seeing how the rest of the season plays out. There's always a good story to tell.
Can you guess where I am today, Mo? Where am I?
It's not Reese Smith Field, is it?
Yeah.
Because anytime you play Chicago, you want to win. That's
you got that right, and
that's bottom line.
Be a buzz.
When you're walking the dog, you keep the bags that you need for the dog in the bag, and you don't even have to wear it. You can just hold it, which is what I do when I walk the dog. So
I think the fanny pack probably needed a little rebranding.
It did. It really did.
On your show logo,
We've got to get a puck in there. There's a basketball. There's a football. There's a baseball. Maybe if not a puck, how about Mo brandishes a hockey stick?
Tune in daily at 2 p.m. on Main Street Media TV.
Welcome back into the final segment of Main Street Sports today, presented by TOA Columbia here on this Wild and Wacky Wednesday as we continue getting you ready for
who's about to play.
Class 1A Greenfield, the 2,000, the less than 2,000 folks in Greenfield.
Weakley County over in Northwest Tennessee. I didn't know it, but I was not that far off from Weakley County when I was over in Huntington and Paris this past weekend.
Not far away at all. Not far away.
If I had known, I would have popped in and done a little more research on these ladies here potentially.
Well, this this promises to be going. North Green has been here for a couple of years in a row. And they always make a solid run. I think they got beat by Summertown when Summertown and Loretto played in the state championship a couple of years ago. So. Anyway, time now for the weirdest and wildest news from across the world, and I want to I got to go look this up because
careful.
I saw an arrest report earlier this week of the GOAT, Diamond Dave, of Diamond Dave's Ninja Judy Chop School. He was arrested on felony drug charges. That you see is I think you got
that's him here.
That's him, David Austin York, his real name, out of Knoxville, Tennessee, arrested on felony drug charges. And if he had just maybe at least he will have some defense mechanisms if he does find himself behind bars, because
see how close I could have got you right there. I'm not even on close to Diamond Dave's level.
And do you know who turned him in? That
No.
that pot liquor. What lives one trailer down? If you have not watched Diamond Dave's videos, you are missing it.
I know it's wild and wacky, but I am about to hurl myself off the concourse here because. When you get all worked up like this, it just it's almost too much for me because this is almost a highlight of your week. I feel
it really is. It really is. We'll talk about a fast car that made a very slow return in London.
Okay.
Do you remember about 30 years ago when Gerhard Berger of Formula One had his Ferrari stolen? Well, it's made its way back. Returned and recovered by UK police from a 1995 theft. That's amazing.
30 years after the fact.
The organized vehicle crime unit investigated and found the car had been brought to Britain from Japan in late 2023. They seized the car, which the force said is valued close to £350,000 or $444,000.
And it just showed back up?
I guess it had been shipped, and they, figured out that it was his car on a manifest of some sort. They shipped it from Japan, and ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Berger gets his car back.
At what point, 30 years, that's an awful. At what point do you think he made peace and said, you know what, I'm not seeing it again?
And then I bet he gets it back, and it's in great condition because you don't ship something from Japan if it's not.
No.
He's got the car back, and it's in better condition than when he had it.
Yeah, it's got a couple tune-ups done.
Anyway, that's it for Wild and Wacky Wednesday here from Murphy Center at Main Street Sports Day, presented by TOA. We'll see you guys tomorrow right here at 2 o'clock on Main Street Media TV.